Hey bro, let's get a glimpse at how kings think. Kings seek to help others, and they are willing to sacrifice themselves to this end. But they understand the difference between helping those who are wanting to better themselves and spinning their wheels with fools who'd rather remain average. Kings understand the proverbs of the Bible. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. And thus kings seek to only surround themselves with those who are wise, and they are quick to cut fools from their life. Just take a single glance at a king's friends, and I promise you will see greatness everywhere you look. So now that you've seen a glimpse of a king, ask yourself, are you among them? My name is Logan, and on this channel I hope you understand that you are in fact a king. And as such you must think like a king, and in so doing you will live like a king. So look, kings, you have to get serious about who you allow to take up residence in your mind. And this is the exact analogy that you need to be using with your friends. If you're interacting with them on a regular basis, they are living in your head. Their words, their actions, their jealousy, and their baseless criticisms will affect what you believe about yourself. And thus, it will put a very low ceiling on your potential, because you are allowing these people to constantly speak into your life. And as the great book says, a companion of fools suffers harm. This proverb means that you don't even have to be a fool yourself, but just by associating them, you are inviting destruction into your life. So we must rid our lives of these fools. And there are 3 main steps to doing just that. And once you internalize them, you will never have to worry about this issue again, because you will be subconsciously searching for these fake friends, and you will see them a mile away, and you will never let them anywhere near you or your mind. All right, so let's dive into step number 1 of the process: identification. You must train your mind to see these people as clear as day. You can't rid them from your life if you don't even know what you're looking for. And as we go through this identification process, I want you to be analyzing the friends that you have in your circle today. There's a really good chance that you will have at least a couple friends that really fit this bill of the fool. So be willing to be honest with yourself, and let's open your eyes. So there are really 2 telltale signs that will help us vastly in this identification of these people. And the first is that they don't want you to succeed. And this is best illustrated by the crabs in the bucket analogy. If you were to put a crab, just a single crab, in a bucket, he has no problem escaping. He just climbs right out. So what's the answer to that? We need a lid, right? Nope. All you gotta do is add a few more crabs into the bucket with him, and you have your solution. Every time one crab makes a desperate attempt to escape, the others will maliciously pull him back to his demise in the bucket. And guys, this is the epitome of misery loves company. Now, contrary to what you might believe, identifying the person that doesn't want you to have success is actually a bit tricky. And this is because rarely will anybody actually be as blatant as the crab, literally pulling his mates back into the bucket of death. So no, they will disguise their intentions. But once you know what to look for, they'll be easy to spot. So here's what you do. Start by bettering yourself, and especially in ways that don't involve the gym. Now, of course, you should still be going to the gym, but it just doesn't help you that much with this identification, because year after year, one of the biggest goals that everyone has is to get in the best shape of their life. So even your crab-like friends will be very attuned to this concept, and they will be able to easily feign encouragement. So what's going to really help is to start bettering yourself in ways that require focus, getting on your purpose and tearing towards it, because then you will be pursuing that end with such vigor that your fake friends will start to reveal themselves. Because see, you'll no longer have the desire to play video games with them for 8 hours straight or go out partying every single night. You'll be locked in and focused, and they will start to squirm. And pay special attention here that I don't mean talking about bettering yourself either. That will rarely reveal anything to you. This is actually one of the most common conversations amongst friends. They sit around discussing their grandiose plans, how they're gonna switch it up and take advantage of every opportunity and change their life for the better. And I guarantee that your friends will be right on the encouraging train in that regard. But when you actually start to change, they'll take notice, and you'll start to find out who they really are. And one of the most common diatribes that you'll hear from somebody who's starting to reveal themselves to you is some iteration of, "You've changed, man." They'll start to try to prove to you that you're becoming different and that this change is to your detriment. And why do they do this? It's because your growth holds a mirror to their complacency. They no longer have their sorrow buddy who they can sit around and be mediocre with and blame the world. And this scares them. And the more you begin to accomplish, the more they realize how little they are doing. And they will do everything and anything to avoid this pain. They'll make you out to be the bad guy even in their own mind so that they don't have to face the harsh reality that they're the ones actually in need of some drastic change. So if you hear somebody starting to go on this rant, check a box. You have identified one of your fools. Now, the second sign to watch out for within this identification process is for people who simply drain the life out of you with their negativity. Now, this one can also be tricky to spot, especially if you're an empathetic person who's always looking to lift up others. You'll have the desire to want to help your boy out, and honestly, you should have this desire. You should be striving to elevate the game of everyone you come into contact with. But what you need to look for is the person that never truly shows the desire to change. No matter how many times they dump their load of issues on you, and you try to help them with them, they come back tomorrow singing the same tired tune. And these people will be a cancer in your life. They're always a victim. Nothing's ever their fault. They take zero ownership. And you think that you can grow when you surround yourself with people like that? They'll pull you right back into that bucket with them. Now, a very important distinction needs to be made here. All of this doesn't mean that you leave your true friends behind just because they aren't growing as fast as you. This is the biggest misstep I see with people who take this advice to heart. They want to end every single relationship in their life immediately, and that's not what I'm saying. If you have a friend who shows clear desire to grow, he's taking your advice, he's trying to be consistent, and he celebrates your victories, but he himself is just failing a lot or having a lot more trouble than you did, you can and should continue to cultivate a relationship with that person. Don't leave them behind just because they can't do things as fast as you. But at the same time, you need to be brutally honest about their motivation. Talking about change is much different than actually changing. So just watch their actions for an extended period of time. You'll be able to tell which category they fall into. Now, it's important to note that this identification step is the one that leads to the longevity of this solution. Because once you learn how to quickly identify these people, you simply won't let them into your life in the first place. So take an account of the people that you're surrounding yourself with right now, and be brutally honest with yourself about which category they fall into. If they're a fake friend, say it out loud right now and use their name. Say, Jason is dragging me down and this needs to end. This will give you the clarity that you need to take the next steps. Okay, so now that we've identified these people, what do we do from here? Step number 2 of the process is talk to them about it. Now, this is a step that most people will skip, but is essential for both you and them. You need to have a straightforward discussion with them about it. Sit them down and say, look, man, I'm trying to go here. Right now, we're both chilling here, but that's not what I want for my life anymore. I feel like I'm not even close to my potential, but I want to be. And I gotta be honest with you, when we hang out, it's harder for me. I want both of us to learn and grow and reach our potentials together, but I just am not convinced that you want that. It seems like when I try to make positive changes for myself, you always tend to point out the negatives of the situation or say that I'm not being true to myself or something. And you've had some problems in your life that you've wanted to overcome for quite a while. But when I try to help you with them, you never really seem to take action on my advice, or at least not for very long. So look, man, I just wanted to have a real discussion with you and see where your head's at with all this. I promise I'm not trying to come at you, and I definitely don't think I'm better than you. I love you, man, and I owe you my honesty. So guys, that's just one example of how you could frame this conversation, but of course feel free to make it your own. You know your friend best and you know how to be honest with them. But if you do this, you'll see where they stand really quickly. If they fire back all defensive, who do you think you are, man? Then you have your answer right there. But you'll be surprised. Sometimes this hard-hitting truth conversation is exactly what they needed to turn the corner. And telling them the way that you see things might shock them into seeing it for themselves and actually making changes. Because rest assured, they too are somebody who is tired of living this way. And now they might be able to see that you're someone that can come on this journey with them and actually help them. So see this as your last-ditch effort to keep them in your life. And if they take the offer, well, great. But see to it that they actually begin to make changes. And if they don't take you up on the offer, then you can move forward and you'll know that you did everything you could. And that leads us to our last step of the process. If there's no change on the horizon, it's time to move on. And this is usually the most difficult step because of the permanence of it and being scared to hurt someone's feelings. But the good news is, it's a step that ideally you only have to do once. You'll get so good at the identification side that you'll never let a friend like this close to you again. But if you're in need of completing this step, there are a few options you have for doing so. The first is yet another good old sit down. This is actually something my business coach Jordan did back in the day. When he was ready to explode on his own journey, he took a survey of all of the people he had in his life. And in doing so, he realized that if he was going to elevate, he had to stop hanging out in the spots that he was used to and surround himself with a different crowd. So he actually sat his friends down and explained to them how it was time for him to step up for himself and his family. And because of that, he wouldn't be chilling with them anymore. Now note here that he did this with kindness and poise. And the part that might shock you is that they actually understood. And this is still the last conversation that he's had with most of them, but they respected him for it. And in doing this, he was able to embark on his journey to leveling himself up. And today, Jordan has escaped the corporate world and he owns and operates multiple successful businesses. In fact, if you want, he's actually a really good dude to connect with. You should check him out on Instagram at @TheJordanCantos, and I'll be sure to link that in the description as well. But the point here is that he chose the path of honesty and directness, and it was hyper effective. And you can do this too. Just make a clean, definitive break. And at that point, you no longer have to worry about it. It's done. You can move on. Now, the second option you have is not one that I really recommend, but if you can't stomach the direct way, this could help you. And that's just to stop hanging out with them. You show up less and less, you start saying no to all the times they ask to hang out, and eventually they get the point. And especially since you already did step number 2 and you've already told them about how you are really focused on leveling up yourself. But this one is dangerous because 1, it's always better to be honest with people, and 2, you're liable to get sucked back in with them. You didn't draw that line in the sand. And so when things on your self-improvement get difficult, and they will, you'll want to return to what's comfortable. So for this reason, I think that no safety net is the best way to go, but this option is better than just keeping these people around, sucking the life out of you. So there you have it, Kings. Stop letting your friends hold you back. Because the other side of that proverb about the fool says, walk with the wise, and you will become wise. So seek to surround yourself with those who are wise and stop letting the fools impact your mind. This can be difficult to follow these steps, but you should be seeking the difficult path anyway. And I actually have a video on why choosing the hard path is the best option. So check that out if you're interested in exploring this idea further. I'll link it. And bro, if you got anything from the video, drop it a like. Subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you in the family. But until next time, let me serve as your reminder. Always put the work in. And from there, leave it in the hands of the one true king. Stay kingly.